Ladies and gentlemen, ever since Israel took the resolution to wipe out Hamas from the face of the earth, it has left no stone unturned to accomplish its mission to avenge the death of over 1,400 Israelis butchered on the fateful day of October 7th. Today, as we speak, Israel has laid siege on Gaza. From Hamas's power corridors to its military police headquarters, the strong pillars of Hamas are falling one by one. Not only this, the Israeli forces have unearthed terror dens inside hospitals. A Hamas command center was found right beneath the Gaza Children's Rantizi Hospital during the combing operations. Fearing annihilation, the terror group has come out with a barter condition. That is, it is ready to release up to 70 women and children held in Gaza as hostages in return for a 5-day truce. But the Israeli Prime Minister has clarified that it's a war to the end. Listen in to Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu.
המלחמה נגד חמאס דאעש מתקדמת במלוא עוצמתה, ויש לה מטרה אחת: לנצח. אין שום תחליף לניצחון. אנחנו נחסל את החמאס ואנחנו נחזיר את חטופינו.
And joining me tonight on the Newshour is Eylon Levy, spokesperson of the Prime Minister's office in Israel. Thank you very much for speaking to me, Eylon Levy. The question is, are you going to take up the offer of a truce or a ceasefire for 5 days in return for 70 hostages? That's the question the world is asking today.
Demanding the immediate and unconditional release of those hostages, all 240 of them, including the babies, including the children. Beyond that, I'm not going to comment on sensitive negotiations that may or may not be taking place to secure their release. You will understand human lives hang in the balance, and it wouldn't be proper to comment.
Eylon Levy, the Hamas has come out and said that in their negotiations with the Qataris, they have made this offer. The fact is that this is something that is the point of contention, and it's the point of discussion and debate across the world, whether it is the French Prime Minister who's talking about the fact that humanitarian relief is something that is required. Is there growing pressure on Israel to take up this offer, or are you still steadfast on the decision of annihilating without any conditions?
Since the October 7th massacre, Hamas has been waging psychological warfare against the people of Israel, tormenting and torturing the families of those innocent hostages inside the Gaza Strip. As I said, I'm not going to comment on negotiations. These are sensitive issues and human lives are at stake. But one central goal of our campaign inside Gaza is to bring our hostages home. Wherever we can physically free them and bring them home, we'll do that. But apart from that, we're putting pressure on Hamas. Pressure on Hamas to release our hostages. We want Hamas to feel the heat, and that's what we're continuing to do right now, put more pressure on Hamas. And we welcome all international pressure on Hamas and its supporters as well, to make clear there is no excuse for abducting babies, innocent babies, and holding them hostage in a tunnel by armed terrorists with Kalashnikov rifles. There's no excuse. We want them back, and we're putting pressure on Hamas to make sure they give us our stolen children back.
Mr. Levy, today there have been some pictures that have been released of Israel taking over the seat of power of the Hamas as well as its military police headquarters. How much of Hamas controlled centers are under Israeli influence now, and how much of this success has been achieved as far as obliterating the Hamas, as you had promised yourself to all Israelis across the world that would be done? How close are you to your objective goal?
We're much closer than we were before the beginning of the ground operation. You know, in response to the October 7th massacre, we decided that we can no longer live next to this jihadi terror state on our borders, and our goal is to totally dismantle Hamas's governing and military capabilities inside the Gaza Strip. That's what we're doing. We've killed thousands of terrorists. We've exposed Hamas's war crimes, the way that it is embedding itself in populated areas. We found tunnel shafts poking out underneath children's bedrooms in Gaza, underneath their beds, literally underneath their beds. We found rocket launchers next to children's swimming pools and amusement parks. We found weapons being stored inside classrooms. We found cables for rocket launchers that lead into mosques. And we are systematically dismantling the Hamas terror state that for 16 years has been waging war on the people of Israel and terrorizing the people of Gaza. And the days ahead are going to be very difficult. Hamas's main headquarters are located underneath the Shifa hospital in Gaza. Hamas built its headquarters in the basement of a hospital. How sick is that? How disgusting is that? Because Hamas's whole strategy is based on human shields. Hamas knows that the only thing that is stopping the state of Israel from destroying the monsters who perpetrated the October 7th massacre is the fact that they're keeping innocent people above them. So as we're smashing Hamas, we're also doing everything we can to get civilians out of harm's way. We've been operating a humanitarian corridor every day for people to evacuate south. We've been implementing tactical pauses in order to encourage the people who are still there to leave. We've been urging them for a month to leave. And we're going to continue doing everything we can to keep civilians safe while destroying the whole Hamas terror infrastructure responsible for the October 7th massacre and planning another October 7th massacre again.
Well, let me ask you, when the French President Emmanuel Macron says, and he said this in an interview, there is no other solution than first a humanitarian pause going to a ceasefire which will allow us to protect all civilians having nothing to do with terrorists. De facto today, civilians are being bombed, de facto. These babies, these ladies, these old people are bombed and killed, so there is no reason for that and no legitimacy. We will urge Israel to stop. How would you respond to the concerns being expressed across the world?
You are right. There is no reason for innocent people to die in this war. That is why it's been over a month that Israel has been urging people in the Gaza Strip in the north to evacuate to the south. And for a month, Hamas has been telling them to stay. Hamas has been urging them to stay and martyr themselves and sacrifice themselves. It's a disgusting strategy. And we're doing everything we can to get civilians out of harm's way because we are targeting Hamas. We are not targeting the Palestinian people, and the French president knows that. And the French have since clarified that President Macron stands foursquare behind Israel's right and duty to defend itself and to destroy Hamas. So we hold Hamas fully accountable, fully responsible for all the tragic deaths inside the Gaza Strip as a result of its decision to declare war on us with the October 7th massacre, its decision to wage that war from behind women and children inside populated areas, and its strategy of attacking our soldiers as we try to evacuate innocent Palestinians from harm's way. You know, this is crazy. We have boots on the ground. We have soldiers who are securing safe passage for Palestinian civilians to leave, and Hamas is attacking our soldiers. Hamas is attacking our soldiers with RPGs as we try to get innocent Palestinians out of the way. And we hold Hamas fully accountable, and the whole world must hold Hamas fully accountable for all suffering in the Gaza Strip as a result of its decision to declare war on us with that horrific massacre on October 7th.
Mr. Levy, IDF has also exposed a subterranean terrorist tunnel system apparently leading from a Hamas terrorist house to the Rantisi Children's Hospital, beneath which hostages are also supposed to have been held briefly. How important is it to dismantle this entire tunnel system to ensure the obliteration of Hamas operations? How long this might take, and how widespread is this tunnel network?
There is nothing more important than destroying Hamas's terrorist infrastructure. For the last 16 years, Hamas has been systematically building a spiderweb of tunnels underneath Gaza City, underneath homes, underneath schools, underneath mosques, underneath hospitals. They've built a whole underground city where they hide underneath innocent people in order to launch terror attacks against Israel. And it is a central goal of this war in response to the October 7th massacre that we will destroy that terror infrastructure so it can never be used to hurt our people again.
Well, Mr. Levy, the fact is the IDF has said that the tunnel infrastructure at the Rantisi Children's Hospital was actually right next to a school and a UN building. I'm asking you a very serious question. You think the United Nations would not have been aware of this? Do you think international authorities have not known what was happening right under their own noses?
They knew. There is no way that the international agencies inside Gaza did not know the extent to which Hamas was exploiting their civilian infrastructure for terrorist purposes. They knew, and they were silent. And in that, they have been complicit with Hamas's strategy of human shields. And I think a lot of international agencies and officials are going to look very, very, very silly when the IDF exposes the full extent of Hamas's takeover of the Shifa hospital and UN facilities inside the Gaza Strip. And the international community is going to need to demand answers and to demand accountability and to ask tough questions of the agencies on the ground. What did you know? Why didn't you say anything? Their global credibility is at stake.
How close are you to unmasking what you say is the proof of international bodies knowing what was going on?
Well, we're doing it as we go along. You saw just yesterday in the footage that we released from the bunker underneath the Rantisi hospital, a World Health Organization sticker. We're moving ahead in order to destroy Hamas's terror infrastructure in the Shifa hospital, and the evidence is there for all to see. The evidence is there for people to see about how Hamas has been exploiting UNRWA UN facilities. The question is whether people want to see it or whether they want to push the evidence to one side because it isn't convenient and it doesn't fit with their narrative and it doesn't fit with their opinions. But the evidence is all there, and in the days to come, there is going to be more.
How do you respond to United States President Joe Biden, who on Sunday called the Qatari head of state and spoke to him and said that he affirmed his vision for a future Palestinian state where Israelis and Palestinians can live side by side with equal measures of stability and dignity?
President Biden has been a stalwart friend and ally of Israel, and we greatly appreciate his moral clarity, his moral, material, and diplomatic leadership in making it clear that Israel must destroy Hamas in this war. That is our right of self-defense, and making sure we have all the weapons that we need to do that. Now, as for the day after Hamas, I wish I could tell you that the day after Hamas were next week. Unfortunately, this is going to take a long time, and we're exploring several options for what the day after Hamas is going to look like. I can tell you three things about what will happen in the Gaza Strip after Israel's inevitable victory. One, the Gaza Strip must be demilitarized. It must never again be allowed to host terrorists who are able to pose a threat to the people of Israel. Two, the Gaza Strip must be de-radicalized. We cannot have another generation of Palestinian children raised on a diet of hatred and jihad and told that they should grow up and be martyrs. We need the whole international community to come together and de-radicalize Palestinian society, just as the world de-radicalized Germany and Japan after the Second World War, and now they are prosperous and powerful democracies and US allies. And the third is that the Gaza Strip must be rebuilt. And it must be rebuilt in a way that ensures that the concrete goes to people's homes and not to building more tunnels underground. Those are our three priorities for the day after Hamas, and we look forward to having more discussions with our international friends and allies to see how we put that into practice.
Well, Mr. Eylon Levy, war is always painful on whichever side is waging it and whichever side is on the receiving end. But we do hope that better sense prevails and terror really comes to an end, as also the humanitarian crisis of holding hostages and the onslaught of absolutely hapless young children, women, and civilians who have nothing to do with this war. We wish you all the best. We'll stay in touch because, as you said,
Thank you very much.
Everybody is looking towards the end of this war so that there can be peace and humanity reigning once again. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you very much.